I was like, oh, 37 years until I retire. I could do this. I don't have a savings account. There's hardly anything in my 401k. I'm not retiring.
Hello everyone, it's Emmanuel Cooke. Today we will be reacting to a new video, and I hope that you guys enjoy the video.
I am 41 years old and I have absolutely no savings for retirement. I've spent the last 10 or 12 years being a broke single mom and at times living off of food stamps. Any time I've ever gotten ahead financially, I've always had a setback. I'm currently like $14,000 in credit card debt and $83,000 in student loan debt. And I don't even have a master's degree. I went to University of Phoenix and got scammed, and I'm hoping to get my University of Phoenix loans forgiven, but that's still pending. Even at that, I still owe $27,000 because I ended up going to a brick and mortar school. So I don't know when I'm ever going to retire. I plan on dying at my cubicle.
I did everything right. I got a job out of high school. I was told I needed to go get my degree, and I went and got it. I was then told I needed an MBA to move ahead, so I went and got it. I then was promoted. I got a good salary. I started saving a lot for retirement, and here I am, close to retirement, looking at whether or not I'm going to be able to retire and have that retirement that I really want. Something where I can travel and, do some great things while I'm still healthy enough to do it. Only to realize that, well, even though I saved and saved and saved, I didn't really save enough. So now what? Well, I have to figure out how to make a little bit more money on top of my 50-hour work week. So if you're interested, follow along.
I was just checking to see if I went viral. No? Okay. Let's check one more time.
There is a growing number of boomers who cannot retire. I know somebody who is a teacher. Their pension was invested with Bernie Madoff. They have never recovered. They would have had a fully funded pension at retirement. They do not now. She works 2 part-time call center jobs and will have to do that till she dies. There are certain professions, accountants, lawyers, professors, that don't retire. Politicians, that just keep going until death. But a growing number of boomers never were going to retire. You're talking about like the middle-class boomers and above. That there was a group of boomers that knew they were never retiring. Like Gen X entered the workforce being like, one day we'll retire, and no. And now this new bunch coming into the workforce knows they will never retire. So it is from 20 until death for pretty much anybody in the workforce right now and anybody else who joins.
My mother is 60 years old and she has no retirement savings. I just found out last night and I'm worried sick. Her employer doesn't provide a retirement pension and she has no savings. She has no plans in place and is completely unprepared for anything. I guess I just assumed that my parents had it all together, but they don't. Where do I even begin to help this situation, and is it too late into the game?
I just saw an article that said 30% of millennials are not saving enough for retirement. You think? It's 2022. Inflation, hello? You think we have the money to be putting away for our retirement when we got kids to feed? Food is double the price it was a year ago. Feed my kids? Save for retirement. I'm sorry. I gotta put the money toward feeding my kids. Make stuff cheaper, and then we can afford to put money aside for retirement. Okay, thanks, bye.
Some of us spend 20 and 30 plus years on these jobs, and we're excited to retire until we get that first check. And some of us realize that you have to go out and get another job just to make ends meet. Now, you done worked all this time, you can't even sit down and relax. Make it make sense. Imagine already being in hell.
Oh boy, do I have a story for you. Okay,
So I'm cleaning out the taxes, gathering all the paperwork together. It's my job. I do that every year. I gather all the paperwork together and I find a letter. I don't remember getting, but then again, I know I'm not of retirement age, so if I would have gotten the letter, I would have just put it in a pile for the taxes. But it gets even better. I look at the letter, and the letter is telling me that I'm eligible for retirement. Say, what? I'm what? I didn't know whether I should be, like, excited that I'm eligible for retirement or offended that they think I'm old enough that I can retire. But moving on. My husband comes home. And I tell him, look at the letter I got. And I got it a year ago. And I explain the whole thing of how I got it a year ago. And he looks at it and he goes, oh, that's interesting. And he takes it and he runs upstairs and he starts doing calculations. The calculations are very interesting. He's doing the calculations and he's like all excited. And I'm standing there going, but I'm not old enough to retire, thank you. To which he gave me the calculations again. Let's start this bad boy. Because it gets even better. So we want to pay our house off. And the thought to me was, what's the difference if I keep it in the account and pull it out later as opposed to retiring now or later? Like, there's a difference. I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So I put all of the figures in the account and I realized that if I retired right now per month, I would get $60 less than if I waited till I was 60. Okay. Well, I'll be 60 in 4 years. So here's what really made me go, huh? So I took that $60 a month and I opened up my mortgage payment and I put the estimated monthly check that I would get from my retirement. My interest, if I don't pay anything, would be $157,000 that I will pay on my interest. Now, if I take that monthly amount and I put it directly towards my mortgage principal payment, my interest will go down to $84,812 and some cents. I am literally going to be saving $73,145.07 for the life of the loan. Now take that $73,145 and divide that by $60. This is where it gets really interesting. You divide that and you get 1,219. That's how many months I would have to live in order to start benefiting in the positive for the $60 saved for the $60 loss that I'm taking right now. That means I would have to live past the age of 60 for 101 years in order for me to really miss that $60 a month. Wow, I'm not going to live that long. So there you go. That's how I calculate it out. So the next day I make a phone call to the retirement board to which I am eligible to retire for. And I ask her, I said, I got a letter last March that says I could retire. And she's like, oh, hold on, let's check. And she starts typing away. And then all of a sudden she says, yeah, you are. When do you want to retire? To which I was like, huh? Nobody is even mentioning how I'm not old enough to retire, how I don't look old enough to retire. You want to retire? No, I want to be not old enough to retire. I'm not ready for this. Nobody prepares you for the day that you become eligible to retire. Nobody. To where I reply, well, today sounds good. And she goes, oh, okay, we can do that. What? You can do that? To where I was like, oh, okay. And I'm just going along with it because I'm like, today? Like, really? Now, keep in mind, we're trying to pay the house off. So every little bit of money that comes to us, we use to pay the house off. We're finding really interesting ways on paying off the house. However, I was not ready for being old enough to retire. Yet, I can tell you, as of right now, I am retired. It just is a really weird feeling. Like, really? I'm old enough? Like, really? So yeah, you're looking at Tabitha, the woman that is retired from 911. Like, literally, on paper, retired. Wow. I'm just gonna let you know. It takes, my husband always tells me, oh, well, you know, someday I'm going to retire. It's just going to be 2 bad days and I'll retire. And I stop and look at him and I said, honey, it's only going to take 2 hours of a bad day
to be retired. So I just keep reminding him that. Just 2 hours, babe. Just 2 hours. So wait until you find out all of the finances and the things. That was my good news for today. That's my good news for today. Whew. Yeah. Just 2 hours to retire on paper. Wow. I have no clue why I just went and opened that. I have no clue, but my battery's dead, so we're gonna plug you in and I'm gonna go figure out what I'm gonna do. Because I'm retired now. I don't have to do anything, right? Yeah, right. I wish.
Oh, now you know what I know.
$4 million is how much money millennials will need if you want to retire comfortably. A study from Seeking Alpha found for anybody who wants to retire by 62. Now, what's really shocking is not just the dollar amount there, but the number. Now, there are 22 million millionaires in the United States compared to 332 million people, meaning only 6% of the population has $1 million net worth. And if you're a millennial that wants to retire comfortably, you don't just need that, you need 4 times that to be at 4 million. So the chances of you hitting that are actually even less. These are some of the biggest concerns that makes me so passionate about private investments. Anybody who understands the numbers behind what we consider to be a traditional retirement can see that our generation is doomed if we don't fix something fast.
I know the cost of living is so high right now, but us millennials love to spend our money. We are guilty of that. We love spending our money on lifestyle, adventure, $7 cups of coffee, Netflix and chill, DoorDash. How about a Sunday brunch? Bottomless mimosas with a waffle bar? Does it get much better than that? That is who we are. That's who millennials are. But people will ask us, what are you gonna do about retirement? Aren't you thinking of retirement? Not really. We're going to end up working and pivoting every 2 to 5 years to a new career and a new job, and we want to have fun along the way. We're the first generation that does not know what 30 years ahead of us is going to look like. We could be living on Mars. You know, our parents and grandparents' generation, they knew if they worked hard and followed this map, they have their house paid off, 401k, pension, or Social Security, and they could see their future. We know for sure we won't recognize our world by 2030, let alone 2050. So we're the generation that's going to have to pivot. And while we're pivoting every 2 years, we want to have some fun along the way. So I think, of course, we have to save and invest and work hard. But we love spending our money because that's just who we are as a culture. And we like to have fun.
Most people will not retire, or they will have to majorly downgrade their lifestyle when they do. This is because they are dependent off of a company or government pension alone, which little do they know, come the age of retirement, it's not going to keep up with the cost of living, and they will not be able to afford their day-to-day expenses. Instead of waiting for a certain age to retire, what you should be doing is planning ahead. Retirement is not an age, it is a number. Typically, your retirement number is calculated in this way. Your total expenses for a year times 25 is the amount you need in a portfolio in order to retire comfortably. The sooner you reach this number, the sooner you will be able to retire. For example, let's say, including inflation, you intend to spend $200,000 gross a year. Gross is before taxes. You will need a portfolio of $5 million in order to retire. And yes, when you're withdrawing from an RRSP, you will be taxed, and that's why I included the tax in this number. After taxes in Quebec, that'll leave you with $115,000, which will give you about $10,000 a month, which is pretty reasonable in my opinion, considering how expensive it is to live in Canada currently, and the prices are just going to keep increasing over time. Do you see a company or government leaving you with this much at the age of retirement? Probably not. This is why we have to plan ahead for ourselves. Stop leaving these important things in the hands of the government or some company that doesn't give 2 shits about you. Take care of yourself, plan ahead.
By now, we have all seen the woman whose parents, her boomer parents, are moving in with her. And if you haven't, go search and watch it because it is quite the conundrum. And I'm a millennial. This is something, of course, that we are all, this is the beginning of the era that we are having to face this. Were all of our parents responsible enough when they were planning for their retirements to be able to contribute to their late stage life? And what are you supposed to do if they weren't? Especially if you have a really complicated relationship with them. First and foremost, we have got to be talking to our parents about this. We have to be like, what is the plan? What do we have in place? And those are really uncomfortable conversations to have because your parents are still seen as the adult in your life, right? But we're all adults now. The playing field is equal. And if it is is going to be financial obligation on our generations to take care of the folks who have spent a lot of time driving up real estate prices and doing a bunch of stuff that has really fucked us in the long run. We got to know what their plan is, right? You got to know how much they intend to be able to care for themselves later in life. There was always a lot of talk about our millennial generation, and now it's being transferred onto Gen Z, that we didn't make. The reason why we're poor is because we haven't made good choices. It's because we're spending too much money on stupid shit. We're getting our nails done. We're going to get coffee. But then when we flip the script and older folks do not have the means to care for themselves because of insane prices for elder care, that it's not the same conversation. We're not then talking about like, well, didn't you guys plan for inflation? Didn't you guys plan for all of these things? Because the answer is not poor planning on all of our fronts. It is the fact that the economy has gotten, pricing for everything has gotten fully out of our hands. It is run away. I'm in the wedding industry, and don't even get me started on how insane the pricing has jumped by 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, over just the last few years. And I know we're all out here feeling it. I know we're all feeling it. So if your parents don't have a plan, they need to get to work on one, man. You need to have a discussion with them about it, and you need to be like, what are we going to do? Because I cannot foot the bills for you. I can barely make it myself. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we were all in a position where we were like, you know what, just move on in, or we can buy you another house, or we can afford to put you in this retirement community, or whatever the case is. But I don't know anybody who's there. I really don't know anybody who's there. And I know a lot of really hardworking, successful people, and still none of them are there. And I saw this video earlier, a couple of days ago, about this girl. She was just sitting in the car and she was like, no one's coming to save us. No one's coming to save us. We have to, it is, this world and this economy is now for millennials and Gen Z and everybody younger to inherit. It is our job now to figure out what the plans are and to voice our opinions, to get out, to vote, to be involved in our local politics, to be involved in discussions like this, and stop shying away from talking about money. We have to talk about money. We have to talk about the structure of the economy. We have to talk about the grind and whether or not we can compete and what our needs are, because nothing will change until we're doing that. No longer are we the young babies who can just be like, I don't know, I'm just a baby, and not be involved in those conversations and not be there. So it's time we're adults. Welcome to the conversation. What do you think about this? How do you feel about this? How is your family dealing with this? Like, let's start the conversation in the comments here and like learn from each other and grow with each other, because there's got to be a forum and a place for all of us who are in this same age group, who are entering our like midlife. What are we going to do? How are we going to help each other? How are we going to help change the system so that it is livable for everybody? Okay. Thank you for coming for my TED Talk. I didn't realize I had so much like passion about this, but I really do.
They talking about they're going to start giving us retirement benefits at 86. Listen to me. They can raise this retirement age to 107 fucking teens. I don't care if I retire with $1 million in the bank or $12 in the bank. And when I'm tired, when I'm done working, and I'm going to start scamming at 50. They're talking about most millennials will be able to retire in their mid 80s. And do fucking what? Mid 80s? Bitch, my knees hurt now. You must be talking about the Florida temperature in March, mid 80s, because ain't no fucking way. Y'all keep playing with us millennials, bro, huh? Y'all been fucking us ever since we came into this shit. Y'all done raised the price of food, raised the price of gas, raised the price of retirement, and ain't thought about raising our pay. And we are legit trying so hard to be on a straight and narrow. Work a 9 to 5, climb the ladder, get a 401k, save a little money, be cool with vacation and maybe once a year, scan everything in the checkout line. Pretend like we not jealous of everybody that got away with the PPP loans. Trying to invest in Bitcoin and stock and bloody fucking blah. Also, you can let us know that we will be 15 years from 100 years old by the time we can enjoy retirement. Let me tell you something. Y'all got a couple more elections to get this shit together, or 50% of millennials is about to start a life of crime. I'm telling y'all, I used to steal all sorts of things, and I'm good at it. Y'all not about to have us in the workforce at fucking 90 years old. Jail ain't even looking that bad at this point.
You know what really scares me? That our parents are getting old, man. Every time I think about it, it just breaks my heart. I feel like I'm running out of time. I want to be able to help my parents.
We're sometimes a little too hard on ourselves. We can only spread ourselves thin before we burn out. Not everything's go, go, go. Like, there's only so much we can do.
You know what's difficult, though? Like, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but my parents have no retirement plan. Or at least in my family, the children become the retirement plan. And it's like an extra burden. I wouldn't call it burden, but it's an extra, like, pressure to do good, to be good.
But, like, you shouldn't put all the burden on you, because you also have 2 other siblings that can support your parents, too, you know?
That's a really good point, but also my 2 siblings have kids. Like, they have their own responsibilities and their own priorities.
So do we, though.
And right now, both of them work and they're doing okay. Like, they have their home. Like, they don't need anything right now, but I know that there will become a point where they won't be able to work anymore. That's something that a lot of other people don't have to face. I'm talking about people who have generational wealth, whose parents have retirement plans already.
That is it for today. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and like, comment, and subscribe down below, and see you in the next video.